Hello and welcome to the show. Leeds United, in my opinion, are now working on a huge priority, and it's something that we should have been working on for the last couple of years. Let slip by the wayside, and I think we could pay for it in a couple of years' time if we don't work quickly. In my opinion, this is the most important thing a football club can do. But first up, a very quick question for you. I'm trying recording in a slightly different resolution right now, slightly crisper, 1080p. Let me know if you've noticed and if it's worth keeping up, because currently I'm on a little bit of a free trial. Just let me know. So, diving into the discussion, I believe the most important thing a football club can do overall is youth development. And youth development at Leeds United is something that I quite enjoy paying attention to. It's something where you get some of the most promising storylines in football, and I like tracking football for the narratives. It's always quite interesting. And ultimately, it gives you some sort of persistent characters you can get attached to, and I love that. And it also makes football quite cheap and affordable for football clubs, which is really good for Leeds United. Personally, I think it's the key to success for several reasons I'll get into a little bit later, and it gives you a next generation of players that you can use. Now, I split these players into pure academy players for this season and going onwards, and bought in players. So players that we have signed from other places and said, we'll develop you and make you better. And I think splitting those is kind of significant because, as I mentioned on yesterday's thing about getting a couple of wonder kids in, there is a difference. But I'll dive into that shortly. So, the pure academy players, and I'm just looking at this season and the impact that they have had in this season alone. First up, you've got to talk Archie Gray. Archie Gray is just 17 years old at the time of writing this video and recording it. He's 22 days away from being 18, which he is still literally a child. And he's so good at football. He's got the fourth most minutes for Leeds United this season. He's ahead of, and this is going to put it in context, Joe Rodon, Crescencio Somerville, Pascal Stroke, Glenn Kamara. The amount of football he has played is insane. And he is performing day in, day out. And the amount of money we've had to pay in transfer fees for him, zilch. Just his wages. And that shows the financial value of getting these deals done. You've also got an extra value in, it gives you some more power in the transfer market. You need to consider Sam Byram. Left the Leeds United Academy after a decent stint. People enjoyed him here, and then he returned. People, upon his return, thought, well, we don't know if he's going to be good. We don't know if he's going to be consistently injured. And throughout the first half of the season, he was fantastic for Leeds. He held down that left-back spot, and he kept Junior Firpo for the most part out of it until Firpo has proven that he's very capable there right now. And it shows the value of building up these connections. It shows you the value of people have that innate desire to go home, in a way. And I think Sam Byram is the perfect demonstration of that because he's the sort of player that we desperately needed. And in that moment of need, he was like, okay, cool, I've not got a club right now. Let's go to Leeds, because I'm sure he would have had offers from other places as well. In addition to that, I've noted that Jamie Shackleton, who is an excellent utility player at Elland Road, is someone that has come entirely through our academy. By utility player, I mean he can play all over the pitch and do a job. I'm not saying he's an excellent player in any of these positions, but he'll do well enough. And that, I think, is something that has value, and it shows the sheer strength of having these good players on the pitch for you. It shows you that, not on the pitch, you know what I mean? It shows you the value of having these players coming throughout your academy. It shows you that no matter what, you're going to get some performances at some point in time. And the same applies for Charlie Cresswell. He might not have played too much this season, but he is a stoic defender that in the future will make a huge difference, whether that's financially because we'll get a decent fee for him, or that is just generally he'll pop up for a few sub-appearances and do really well, like he did against West Ham. They all add a lot of depth to the club, save the club a lot of money, and they do contribute to the side's culture. It gives you a sense of homeliness around the club and gives fans someone to connect to. And if the fan feels connected to the side, brilliant. They can be a lot more passionate, but it goes beyond Yorkshire. There are players that are signed in order for the club to develop them. And those players can become key, and those players can make massive profits. So first up, there's, I'll admit, been a couple of relative letdowns. Lewis Bay hasn't kicked on as well as we hoped. Cody Drama never put in the performances that we wanted at Leeds United. And Sonny Perkins is a little bit wobbly. There's clearly something there, but we've had to take him back from loan at Oxford. A little bit disappointed. But when you go through the successes, there's a lot of them. Ilan Meslier, for example, now 23, nearly 24 years old, signed at the age of 19, was waiting behind Kiko Casilla, and now he's our starting goalkeeper. And there were discussions for him making it into the France squad, and he still could in the long term. That is a fantastic investment for just £4 million. And in terms of excellent investments, Crescencio Somerville, Cost us £1 million from Feyenoord, and he's now the best winger in the Championship, in my opinion, by a comfortable margin. There's arguments for the best player in the Championship overall. And if we were to sell him right now, you're looking at £30 million. That's a 30 times return. And we're in a position where we don't want to sell him, because even though there is so much profit on the line, you don't need to. And you can make the most of these players on the pitch in terms of their talent. They can also contribute a lot to sort of the culture of your team, even though you've brought them in from outside, as I discussed with academy players coming up from inwards, adding to the culture. Think about Pascal Struijk. We got him for free from Ajax. No transfer fee. Just wages, signing on fee. He's now captained the side. Has been in discussion with call-ups for the Netherlands and Belgium, and plays at such a consistently high level, aside from the end of last season. But everyone was shit at the end of last season, because tactically we were bad at the end of last season. Pascal Struijk coming for free from Ajax is one of the best bits of business we have ever done. And that's all about, sorry about that, the youth academy. He was someone that was signed up to wait behind Liam Cooper and Pontus Jansson and eventually come upwards. I think he was also behind Ben White at the time, who, on that note, another youth signing. I say youth signing, a youth player for Brighton that has proven to be very good. It shows the strength of youth development in these clubs. And I'm going to go through these remaining players relatively quickly. Willy Gnonto is an international talent, Italy's youngest ever goal scorer. He originally signed to play for the under-21s. Jesse Marsch admitted it himself. He said, well, he's probably not ready. But now he's scored 5 and 5 in the Championship. And if he were to take the step up to the Premier League with a decent manager and decent tactics that actually helped him, I have no doubt that he'd blend right in and do fantastically well. And Matteo Joseph cost just £1 million. And he's now seen as an incredibly promising prospect. Keeps coming off the bench, and people are just itching for him to get game time, get minutes. And it's still not coming. And a player that I didn't even note down is in a similar boat. Joe Gelhardt, £1 million from a struggling Wigan. I have no doubt we could make a profit on him, because £1 million is nothing in this market. And he's still young, he's still promising. But ultimately, why does it matter? I think youth development in a football club, no matter what the club is, matters because it brings financial value to a club. It's fairly cheap to bring through promising players from your area. And our area is massive. The catchment area for Thorpe Arch, it doesn't have that many big academies to compete with. So it's basically all of Yorkshire. There is so much space for Leeds United to look at and go, well, we'll take you, and you. This isn't the case of we're a London club trying to fight against Chelsea or Arsenal or Spurs. This is a case of we are the biggest club in Yorkshire going, okay, these are all the prospects, we'll take the best of them. And it also plays a significant role on the pitch. The role it plays on the pitch is arguably more important than the financial one, because performances on the pitch lead to money. And money leads to transfers, which leads to more performances on the pitch. And it's so significant because when you develop players well, you get stars. You get Crescencio Somerville, you get Pascal Struijk, you get Ilan Meslier. And there are times you don't do development well, and that was seen under Jesse Marsch, where he didn't seem to give that much of a shit about the young players, or when he did, it was already awful situations. I'm convinced he only picked Gnonto out of necessity. But they can play a huge role on the pitch and, as a result, contribute hugely to the club culture. If a Leeds player that's come up through the academy goes away, there is no doubt that fans will sing, "You're Leeds and you know you are," and they will drop a Leeds salute. The same will apply to the likes of Calvin Phillips, who also played a big role on the pitch and also brought significant value to the club. 40 million quid for him. And he played a big part of the club culture in the promotion season. And that ultimately continues to lead to better performances, because the more of a cohesive culture a club has, the more that spirals and spirals and spirals, and people are playing for the shirt, which is fundamental to the success of a football club. So that is why I believe that is the most important thing a club can do, focusing on youth development and making sure that young players get the nurture, care, and ultimately quality game time that they deserve. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Like, subscribe. You could even become a channel member if you want. That'd be hugely appreciated. And I will see you later. I am really curious about how the 1080p thing works out. Just let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. Ta-ra.